At the age of 42, I saw my husband Chen Buqiang, who had been dead for 20 years, on television. He has become a returnee talent and is a renowned doctoral supervisor in medicine. I looked at my in-laws in shock, yet I saw them beaming with pride, murmuring about the Chen ancestors showing their divine power, and their son bringing honor to the family. Faced with my questioning, my in-laws were even more self-righteous. If I don't lie to keep you here, who will take care of us? Your elderly parents. How could Buqiang go abroad with peace of mind? Just a few days later, Chen Buqiang, along with his wife and children from abroad, drove me out of the house. Xia Peilan, you old hag, you're no match for me now. Furious, I tried to fight back, but they joined forces to push me down the stairs, making it look like an accidental death. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 1980. This time, let Chen Buqiang take care of his mother-in-law, who is disabled in her right leg, and his father-in-law, who suffers from uremia, all by himself. I want to study abroad to contribute to the development of the medical industry in our country. Peilan, let me help you take your study abroad application to Professor Zhong together. The hand holding the folder suddenly felt lighter. I looked up at Chen Buqiang's youthful face and froze in place. Seeing me dazed, he gently tapped my nose with his hand, his tone tender. Stop spacing out. We need to go back and get the documents soon. We're heading to the Civil Affairs Bureau this afternoon to get our marriage certificate. Hearing his words, I realized I had been reborn. It was 1980. Humiliation and disgust surged through me instantly. I raised my hand and wiped the tip of my nose hard. Even the skin he had touched felt dirty to me. I snatched my application form back from his hand with force. No need, I'll go and hand it in myself. Chen Buqiang and I were college classmates. The academic power couple in everyone's eyes. We were both in the clinical medicine program, but I had excellent grades and was the top student in the major. He could never beat me in exams, always the eternal second place. Seeing my sudden change in attitude, Chen Buqiang's eyes flickered with panic, and he held onto my hand tightly. Why are you angry all of a sudden? I have something to do at the school, so I can drop it off for you on the way, saving you a trip. His words instantly made me suspicious. In my previous life, it was him who submitted the application for me, but my name was nowhere to be found on the study abroad candidate list afterward. Only his name was there. There is only one spot in our program, and only if I give it up can it go to Chen Buqiang. But before I could even find him to argue, my in-laws came to me in tears, telling me he had died in a car accident, on his way to buy me fresh flowers. A profound sorrow and deep guilt enveloped my heart. My in-laws were already in poor health, and after that, they only grew weaker. I had to give up my career to stay at home and take care of them with all my heart. In the end, it turned out that all of this was just a lie aimed at me. Thinking of this, I forcefully shook off his hand. No need, I'll only feel at ease if I hand it to Professor Zhong personally. Seeing me so stubborn, he got anxious. Xia Peilan, what do you mean by that? Do you think I would harm you? If that's how you see me in your heart, then let's break up, and don't even think about getting the marriage certificate today. But I didn't even pay him any attention, turned around and walked towards the school without looking back. Chen Buqiang slammed the door in anger behind me. When I arrived at the school and handed the application to Professor Zhong, I noticed another application on the desk with Chen Buqiang's name on it. Professor Zhong noticed my gaze and spoke up. A few days ago, Chen Buqiang came to submit the application. He said you two are getting married, and you're going to stay to take care of his parents. At that time, I felt it was a pity. Wasting your medical skills would be a great loss to our country's medical field. Fortunately, you've changed your mind now. I suppressed my anger and assured Professor Zhong. Professor Zhong, I never intended to give up on medical research. I am definitely going on this state-sponsored study abroad program. Moreover, Chen Buqiang and I have already broken up. Nothing can stop me now. A hint of relief appeared on Professor Zhong's face. Peilan, you are the most outstanding student I have ever taught. I believe in you. After leaving school, I went to the cemetery to visit my parents. Both of my parents were outstanding doctors. The new medications they developed advanced our country's medical progress, which also led to persecution from hostile nations. They died in a plane accident. I vowed to carry on their spirit and contribute to the nation's medical cause. Walking home, I felt particularly light-hearted and couldn't help humming a little tune. As soon as I reached the doorstep, I saw Chen Buoqiang glaring at me with a face full of anger. "Xia Peilan, do you know how long I waited for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau this afternoon?" I looked him up and down and said with a laugh, "Didn't you say we broke up? What are you still waiting for at the Civil Affairs Bureau?" Chen Buoqiang's eyes flashed with shock, his face flushed red with anger. "Fine, fine, fine. Xia Peilan, you're something else. Don't you regret it? Even if you beg me crying, I won't marry you anymore." I rolled my eyes. "Take care on your way out." I watched Chen Buoqiang's retreating figure with a cold sneer on my face. I'm curious to see how he plans to turn things around in this lifetime. With me securing the study abroad opportunity first, leaving him without the chance, and now burdened with ailing in-laws, the next afternoon, I received a message from Professor Zhong saying that my study abroad application had been approved and I needed to go to the school to fill out some additional paperwork. I had just finished filling out the forms and stepped out of the office when I ran into Chen Buoqiang and Shen Li from the anesthesiology department. The two were arm in arm, extremely intimate. I recognized Shen Li. In my previous life, she and Chen Buoqiang had gone abroad to study in the same batch. They got married and had children abroad, and upon returning to the country, it became a heartwarming story. It was also she who urged Chen Buoqiang to kick me out of the house. I never expected that this pair of scumbags would end up together in this lifetime because of me, and even earlier than before, seeing me looking at them, Chen Buoqiang sneered coldly, "Xia Peilan, I'm already with Lily, and my parents have accepted her as their daughter-in-law. From now on, we are strangers. It's too late for regrets now." I calmly nodded and walked past them at a leisurely pace. It was Shen Li who suddenly spoke to me. "Xia Peilan, I'm about to get my marriage certificate with Buoqiang. You'd better stay away from him." I turned to meet her gaze, offering a meaningful smile. "Congratulations on stepping into the sea of bitterness ahead of time. Xia Peilan, what nonsense are you talking about?" Chen Buoqiang, furious, roared at me. "A woman with such a peculiar temper like you deserves to be disliked. If you want to leave, then go far away." I smiled faintly and did not argue with him. This, however, infuriated him. Even after I had walked far away, I could still faintly hear his curses. I thought that in this lifetime, Shen Li would follow the same fate as my previous life. Married to Chen Buoqiang, he stole the opportunity to go abroad, and in the end, I was forced to stay behind to take care of his parents. Unexpectedly, in just 3 short days, she was already pulling and arguing with Chen Buoqiang on the street in front of everyone. Shen Li came from a wealthy family, accustomed to a life of luxury since childhood and unable to endure the slightest hardship. Chen Buoqiang and his parents naively thought Shen Li was just like me. They can easily be manipulated by them. On the day Shen Li followed Chen Buoqiang home, Chen Buoqiang's mother immediately ordered her to help wipe her body and even made her get up in the middle of the night to empty the bedpan. Chen Buoqiang's father was even worse, demanding that Shen Li handwash his undergarments. Because he was in a bad mood due to illness, he often yelled at Shen Li. In their eyes, being favored by Chen Buoqiang was Shen Li's good fortune. Shen Li openly expressed all her grievances in front of everyone. And with that, Chen Buoqiang's reputation was completely ruined. With parents like that, no girl would be willing to marry into their family and suffer. But Chen Buoqiang was in a hurry to go abroad, so he was bound to find some unlucky soul to take care of his parents at home. That day, I was reviewing English at the library when Chen Buoqiang approached me. "Peilan, I was wrong before. I only got close to Shen Li to make you jealous. Let's get back together." I put down the book in my hand and walked out of the library with him. "Chen Buoqiang, do you think I'm a fool? Shen Li didn't want to marry you and endure hardship. So why do you think I would?" A flicker of ruthlessness flashed in Chen Buoqiang's eyes, but it was quickly concealed. He looked at me with a feigned expression of deep affection. "Peilan, how could I bear to let you suffer? Aren't you going abroad to study? I'll stay at home and take good care of Mom and Dad. I'll work hard and wait for you to return after completing your studies." I looked at him coldly. I had heard these hypocritical words in my previous life, because I believed these words and felt sorry that he would have to struggle alone in the future. I took great pains to care for his parents and share his burdens before going abroad. In the end, his entire family schemed against me, stole my study abroad opportunity, and turned me into their slave. Finally, they joined forces to kill me. I took a deep breath, suppressing the urge to kill him, a sarcastic smile curling at the corner of my mouth. But by the time I return from abroad, I'll already have a PhD, while you'll just be an ordinary employee. By then, you won't be worthy of me. Chen Buoqiang's face changed, his voice trembling with anger. Xia Peilan, I never expected you to be such a materialistic woman. I was wrong about you. Do you really think you can go abroad smoothly? I'm telling you, it's impossible. After uttering those harsh words, he left. But his words left me with a faint sense of unease. These past few days, I've been keeping an eye on the school's public-funded study abroad program. And only after confirming that my name was still on the list did I quietly breathe a sigh of relief. But a week before going abroad, Professor Zhong frantically knocked on my door. Peilan, something's happened. Someone has filed a real name report accusing you of plagiarism in your paper. This morning, the institute has already set up a special team to investigate, and they said in a meeting that they're going to cancel your government-sponsored study abroad spot. I was shocked at first. Then a look of understanding dawned in my eyes. Teacher, is the informant Chen Buoqiang? Professor Zhong spoke cautiously, as if afraid I might get hurt. Maybe there's some misunderstanding between you two. Why don't you go talk to him in person? I shook my head, held Professor Zhong's hand, and comforted him, saying, there's no misunderstanding, he did it on purpose. Don't worry, teacher, I have evidence to clear my name. When I arrived at the school, besides the investigation team, Chen Buoqiang, as the whistleblower, was also present. Upon seeing me, he pretended to be angry and shouted at me, Xia Peilan, your first place is undeserved, you even stole my data for your thesis. What right do you have to receive a national scholarship to study abroad? I didn't even give him a glance. Handing the evidence in my hand to the investigation team, here is the proof that I did not plagiarize. Please take a look, teachers. When I was in a relationship with Chen Buoqiang, I held nothing back from him. All the data for my thesis was open to him, but he didn't know that I habitually keep evidence. I have backups of all the primary materials in my thesis. Seeing how calm I was, Chen Buoqiang grew somewhat flustered. Don't think you can fool the investigation team with fabricated materials. I smiled faintly. Justice resides in the hearts of the people. An hour later, Chen Buoqiang was summoned into the office by the frowning teacher from the investigation team. In the end, he was publicly criticized by the school for making a false report. My government-sponsored study abroad quota was ultimately preserved. It was only later that I found out that Chen Buoqiang lost the hospital job he had already secured because of this criticism. That night, Chen Buoqiang got completely drunk, banging on my door and shouting, Xia Peilan, let me tell you, if it weren't for the quota, I would never have been with a tomboy like you. How dare you dump me? Who else would want you besides me? You're just a woman, and in the end, you'll have to return to the family to take care of your husband and children. What's the point of competing with me? I clenched my fist tighter. So Chen Buoqiang never respected me in the first place. No wonder he was so cruel to me in my past life. He kept shouting and yelling non-stop, causing the neighbors nearby to open their doors and call for me to come out and handle the situation. I picked up the chamber pot from the room, opened the door, and splashed it right in his face. Chen Buoqiang sobered up instantly. He wiped his face with his hand, brought it to his nose to sniff, and immediately gagged. Xia Peilan, how dare you splash me with piss? I raised the other chamber pot in my hand and threatened, if you don't leave now, I'll throw shit at you. Seeing me raise the filth in my hand, he scrambled away in terror. Lunatic, you're a lunatic. Early the next morning, as I was riding my bicycle to the library, Chen Buoqiang's parents stopped me at the intersection. His mother, dragging her crippled right leg, handed a death certificate right in front of my eyes. Peilan, Buoqiang is gone. He was hit by a car and killed. His father grabbed and pulled at me, nearly making me fall off my bicycle. He went out to find you and apologize. You're the one who got him killed. I never expected that in this life, Chen Buqiang would try to trap me with a fake death again. The two of them held onto me tightly with both hands. Before Buqiang died, he kept calling your name. Are you really so cold-hearted that you won't go see him, since Chen Buqiang has prepared such a good show for me? I certainly can't let him down, but this time I didn't come alone. I not only brought all my classmates from school, but I also specially hired a funeral procession, seeing so many of us. His mother looked a bit flustered. Peilan, you surely can't bear to see him cremated. We'll handle his funeral arrangements after you've left. I shook my head. Since he couldn't let go of me, I must see him off on his final journey. I looked at the funeral procession. Please, take care of it, as the words fell. Under the stunned gazes of his parents, the staff of the funeral procession stepped forward and lit the dry grass beneath Chen Buqiang. The flames quickly shot up, and the entire patch of dry grass was instantly set ablaze. Chen Buqiang screamed as he ran out from the fire. The corpse is alive. Ah! The scene was chaotic, with screams rising one after another. Someone quickly reacted, grabbing clothes to extinguish the fire on Chen Buqiang's body. Everyone hurriedly sent Chen Buqiang to the hospital. Meanwhile, Shenli took advantage of the chaos and ran back home. At the entrance of the operating room, Chen Buqiang's mother cried heartbrokenly and said to me through gritted teeth, "Xia Peilan, if anything happens to my son, I will never let you off. My poor son, how could he have fallen for such a heartless woman?" His father punched the hospital wall, his eyes filled with fury, as if he wanted to kill me on the spot. But I calmly took out Chen Buqiang's death certificate from my pocket. "So Chen Buqiang isn't dead at all, yet you claimed he was. This death certificate even bears the official hospital seal. Are you lying, or did the hospital make a misdiagnosis?" "Aunt and uncle, if you forged this death certificate, you could be arrested." Upon hearing this, Chen Buqiang's mother's sorrowful expression froze on her face, and a flicker of guilt flashed in her eyes. "How could it possibly be fake? This is what the hospital gave us." "We're not lying at all," I nodded, then exclaimed dramatically, "Oh my! This hospital actually diagnosed a perfectly healthy living person as dead. Who knows how many innocent people have been misdiagnosed before? Could they misdiagnose other illnesses too? Who would dare come to such a heartless hospital?" I had just finished speaking. The family members of those patients were so frightened that their faces turned pale, clamoring to return the medicine and transfer to another hospital. This commotion alarmed the hospital director. In the director's office, the director held Chen Buqiang's death certificate in his hand, frowning deeply. "This order is indeed from our hospital. Immediately find out who issued it. Please rest assured, I will definitely give the patient and their family a satisfactory explanation." Soon, a doctor named Shen Dezhong was brought in. Upon closer look, it turned out this person was Shenli's father. Without a doubt, it was clear that Shenli had acted as the intermediary. I just didn't expect that the death certificate from my past life was also forged by Shenli. Shen Dezhong immediately confessed everything upon seeing that forged death certificate. He begged the director for another chance, but didn't expect the police outside the door to already be walking in. Because Shen Dezhong was suspected of a major medical accident, he was taken away by the police. Before leaving, he yelled at Chen Buqiang's parents, "This is what Chen Buqiang asked me to forge. His accident has nothing to do with me. You can't treat me like this." Chen Buqiang's parents turned their heads away, pretending not to hear. Shortly after, Shenli arrived at the hospital. After learning that her father had been taken away by the police, she glared at me with reddened eyes. "Xia Peilan, this is all you're doing. You caused Bo Qiong to lie in the operating room, his life hanging by a thread, and you got my father arrested by the police. Are you satisfied now that you've harmed everyone like this?" I crossed my arms and looked at her. "What does any of this have to do with me? It's not like I forced your father to forge the documents. What good would it do me if Chen Buqiang faked his death? If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being foolish. Was it worth it to harm your own father for a man?" Shenli's face was deathly pale, her voice trembling. "You knew he was pretending to be dead. You knew it from the beginning, and yet you still had someone light the fire." I gave a mocking smile, moved closer to her, and said in a voice only we two could hear, What a pity. Why didn't he get burned to death? Shun-Li stepped back abruptly, looking at me as if I were a monster. You're insane, Xia Peilan. You're a complete madwoman. I smiled without saying a word, after dedicating myself heart and soul for half a lifetime, only to be deceived and killed by my husband and family. How could I not go mad? If I hadn't held on to my sanity, Chen Buqiang would have been burned to death today. 3 hours later, Chen Buqiang was wheeled out of the operating room. The doctor said it was fortunate that Chen Buqiang was brought in promptly, but his entire face was burned beyond recognition, completely disfigured, while his body only suffered some minor burns. Upon hearing the news, Chen Buqiang's mother fainted from crying, while his father stood outside the hospital room, continuously smoking without pause. In the hospital room, Chen Buqiang went crazy after waking up. Didn't I tell you to take good care of my body? Why did you just stand by and watch her set it on fire? Look at me now, neither human nor ghost. How am I supposed to live like this? I already lost my job, and now it's even worse. Where is Shun-Li? She was the one who gave me the anesthesia. Where is she? I clearly had a bright future ahead of me, but you all destroyed my dreams. You all deserve to die. Chen Buqiang scolded his parents out of the hospital room. Hearing him screaming in agony and madness in the hospital room, I felt an immense sense of satisfaction. At this moment, Shun-Li carefully pushed open the hospital room door and walked in. Brother Buqiang, my father has been arrested by the police for helping you forge the death certificate. Could you go out and clarify for my father, saying this was something you orchestrated yourself? Why should I clarify? If he had adhered to his professional ethics back then, I wouldn't have ended up in this situation. He must take responsibility for what happened to me. Chen Buqiang's voice was exceptionally fierce. Chen Buqiang, it was clearly you who begged my father. Before Shun-Li could finish her words, the sound of shattering glass and a woman's scream echoed through the hospital room. In the next moment, blood seeped from Shun-Li's forehead. Chen Buqiang looked at her coldly. Shun-Li, don't think that just because I'm in this state, you can get away unscathed. Your father has already been arrested and taken to the police station. Your record is now tainted. Do you really think you can still successfully study abroad? Shun-Li covered her forehead, her eyes filled with disbelief. Chen Buqiang, what do you mean? Chen Buqiang looked at her, his eyes devoid of the usual affection and tenderness, replaced only by hatred. You all brought me to this state. Why should you get to live comfortably? I will absolutely not step forward to clear your father's name. After saying that, Shun-Li covered her face and ran out of the ward, crying. Seeing Chen Buqiang like this, I wasn't the least bit surprised. Deep down, he is a selfish person. His life is ruined, so he wants to drag everyone around him down to hell with him. I pushed the door open and entered, my tone cold. Chen Buqiang, if your skills aren't up to par, you should work harder instead of scheming to harm others. What doesn't belong to you will never be yours. What good does playing dead do for you? Now you've only ended up harming yourself, haven't you? Chen Buqiang, upon seeing me, turned red with anger. Xia Peilan, you did that on purpose. You wanted to kill me. I looked completely innocent. You can eat your words, but you can't speak recklessly. Your parents are in poor health, and your family is poor. I spent money to hire a funeral team to handle your affairs. Wasn't that for your own good? And if someone had told everyone you weren't dead at the time, the funeral team wouldn't have lit the fire. You have no one to blame but yourself for what happened now. Who did you entrust your life to? Don't you know it in your heart? At that time, Shun-Li and your parents were all there. Why didn't they stop it? Hearing my words, his bloodshot eyes filled with hatred, coupled with the scars visible outside the bandages, he looked like a demon crawling out of hell. None of you will escape. It's all your fault that I ended up like this. I looked coldly at Chen Buqiang. Since I was reborn, I never thought of actively seeking revenge against him. It was he who framed me time and time again. He has only himself to blame for his current downfall due to his insatiable greed. As I was about to leave, he suddenly reached out and grabbed my arm tightly. Xia Peilan, whether you did it on purpose or not, you were the one who ordered the fire to be set. You can't escape this. I had expected him to react this way. I grabbed his hand and pulled it away, demanding, "Then what do you want?" Chen Buqiang stared at me, his eyes filled with madness. "I want you to voluntarily give up the opportunity to study abroad for me, then stay behind to take care of my parents and serve my family like a beast of burden for the rest of your life." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Chen Buqiang, has your brain been fried by the fire too? Your current physical condition doesn't meet the national standards for studying abroad on a government scholarship. Even if I were willing, the school wouldn't approve it. And why should I agree to such an unreasonable request of yours?" After saying that, he picked up another glass from the table and threw it at me. Xia Peilan, I turned slightly and dodged it. "Chen Buqiang, you're in this state already. Just focus on recovering quietly." After saying that, I pushed the door open and left, ignoring his dark expression. The next day, Shenli came to the hospital again to find Chen Buqiang, hoping he would clarify the matter of the forged death certificate. Seeing that he couldn't get anywhere with me, Chen Buqiang turned his attention to Shenli. He demanded that Shenli marry him, give up her opportunity to study abroad, and stay to take care of him and his parents. Shenli refused on the spot. As a result, Chen Buqiang immediately went to the police station and demanded severe punishment for Shen Dezhong. After learning about this, Shenli had no choice but to find Chen Buqiang and agree to his demands. On the day of the marriage registration, Chen Buqiang went to the Civil Affairs Bureau in a wheelchair. It is said that Shenli cried all day that day, and several times the Civil Affairs Bureau staff almost called the police, thinking she was being forced into marriage. This also made Chen Buqiang furious, and that night he beat Shenli with a cane. Because of Chen Buqiang's testimony, Shen Dezhong's crime was significantly mitigated, but his medical license was still revoked, and he could never practice medicine again. The hospital compensated Chen Buqiang a significant amount of money, but with one parent disabled and the other suffering from cancer, the entire family was struggling to make ends meet. This money was far from enough to support them for a lifetime. Moreover, because of this incident, Chen Buqiang developed a rift with his parents and kept all the money in his own hands. At this point, there were only 2 days left before studying abroad. I am reading a book in the school library. Suddenly, 2 police officers pushed the door open and walked straight to my spot. They showed their badges and looked at me with serious expressions. "Student Xia Peilan, please come with us. Someone has reported you for intentional homicide." The originally quiet library suddenly became restless, with everyone turning their gaze toward me and whispering among themselves, "Oh my God, isn't she the top student in the medical program? How could she kill someone? Who knows? Wasn't it just a while ago that people were saying she plagiarized her thesis?" I ignored these gossiping people, packed up my things, and followed the police. Without a second thought, I knew it was Chen Buqiang who did it. When I arrived at the police station, I saw Chen Buqiang and his parents sitting inside waiting for me. Chen Buqiang looked at me triumphantly. "Xia Peilan, did you really think I couldn't do anything about you?" I ignored his provocation and instead looked at the police officer. "Officer, do they have evidence to prove that I intentionally killed someone?" Before the police officer could speak, Chen Buqiang's mother stood up excitedly and pointed at me. "Xia Peilan, it was you who ordered someone to set my son on fire. Look at what his face has become. If the fire hadn't been extinguished in time, my son would have been gone." Chen Buqiang glared at me. "What more do you have to say in your defense? It's a fact that you harmed me. I just find it ridiculous. In my previous life, I actually ruined my entire life for this family. I didn't argue with them. Instead, I used the police station's phone to call the classmates who were present that day and the person in charge of the funeral team. I usually got along well with my classmates and often helped them out. Moreover, Chen Buqiang's funeral arrangements were not continued. And I didn't ask the funeral team for a refund. They were all very willing to help me with this. So after they arrived, they all took the initiative to testify on my behalf. Officer, we only took on this job to handle the funeral arrangements after receiving Chen Buqiang's death certificate. Yes. We all saw it with our own eyes. Chen Buqiang's parents personally said he had passed away. That's right. That day I saw Chen Buqiang's parents crying the hardest, saying something about white-haired people sending off black-haired people. With each word spoken, Chen Buqiang's expression grew increasingly grim. The two police officers also frowned, occasionally glancing at Chen Buqiang and the other two, based on the statements from everyone. The police also uncovered the case where Chen Buqiang and the hospital had forged the death certificate, and they understood the sequence of events. Finally, I was acquitted. Chen Buqiang and his parents were kept behind for a reprimand and education for making a false police report. On the day of going abroad, we gathered at the school gate. Professor Zhong came specifically to see me off, patting me on the shoulder and advising, "Peilan, your abilities go far beyond this. You will definitely become an outstanding doctor in the future." Just then, Chen Buqiang appeared. He saw Professor Zhong's hand on my shoulder and showed an expression that said, "I knew it. So this is why you suddenly wanted to break up with me. You've been getting cozy with Professor Zhong. You've already climbed the social ladder. Did you also get your opportunity to study abroad through improper means? No wonder Professor Zhong advised me to let you go study abroad when I submitted my application. So that's how it is." Seeing that he was about to speak again, I rushed forward and slapped him hard across the face. "Chen Buqiang, you disgusting waste." I put all my strength into that slap, and blood instantly seeped through the bandages on his face, making him look particularly ghastly. Chen Buqiang raised his hand to wipe it and saw the blood staining his fingertips. He was stunned for a moment, then grew furious, raising his hand to strike back. "Xia Peilan, you bitch, you're asking for it." I didn't give him a chance. With one swift kick, I struck his groin, and he immediately dropped to his knees, letting out a painful howl. I looked down at him from above. My relationship with Professor Zhong is completely innocent. On the contrary, you are academically dishonest and lack the ability, yet you still try to take shortcuts through underhanded means. Engaging in harmful actions that benefit no one will only bring the consequences of your misdeeds back to haunt you. Soon after, the school security arrived and dragged Chen Buqiang away. After bidding farewell to my former classmates one by one, my companions and I, under the teacher's guidance, boarded the bus heading to the airport. Once on the plane, I watched the land gradually shrink. My heart gradually calmed down. "Xia Peilan, your life is about to start anew. During these 6 years studying abroad, I feel as though I've become a different person. Completely different from my previous life. I'm no longer confined to the kitchen, no longer worrying about every penny. I've thrown myself entirely into medical research. There's so much knowledge to absorb. I wish I could split one day into a week to use. Only by learning faster can I bring these advanced medical knowledge back to my country as soon as possible and help more patients. Time is money. My country has invested in my education, and I will repay it 100 or 1,000 times over." On the very day the research program ended, a foreign medical research institute approached us. They offered high salaries to keep us here, to contribute to their country's medical research. That's when I realized why, in my previous life, Chen Buqiang and Shun Li only returned to China after 20 years. It turned out they had long been tempted by the high salaries and betrayed their original intentions. They only decided to return later because the competition abroad was too fierce and they couldn't stay any longer, not out of genuine concern for the motherland. Thinking of this, I refused the invitation without hesitation. Among the classmates who came to study abroad during the same period, a few still succumbed to temptation and chose to stay. I didn't try to persuade them, as everyone must take responsibility for their own choices. The day I returned was a bright, sunny day. I am wearing a stylish floral dress, and I am full of energy. I first went to the school to meet Professor Zhong and some old classmates. Professor Zhong has been promoted to vice president and has nurtured countless students over the years. A few old classmates greeted me warmly and teased me playfully. "Peilan, you used to wear such dull clothes all the time, but this outfit really suits you now. I saw the research paper you published in the newspaper. It's so like you. If that medicine is successfully developed, it will definitely benefit everyone. Peilan just got back, and you're already talking about work again. You're just like Chen Buqiang." "Oh, why bring him up?" Hearing Chen Buqiang's name, I became a bit curious and asked, "Never mind, what's up with Chen Buqiang?" My old classmate shook his head mysteriously. "A lot has happened in the 6 years you've been gone, especially with Chen Buqiang. It's as if he's been possessed by evil. For the first 2 years, he just lay at home drinking all day. Then one day, he suddenly sobered up, saying it was all a dream and that everything now was unreal. His parents were so frightened that they sent him to a mental hospital. He stayed there for only a few days before returning to normal. After being discharged, he spent all his time running to the school laboratory. He told the principal that he could develop some kind of special cold medicine, and the principal couldn't be bothered to pay him any attention. Everyone initially didn't take it seriously, but to their surprise, he actually succeeded in his research. The research institute wanted to hire him. But he wasn't satisfied with the salary and ended up joining a foreign company. Hearing these words, I was startled and suddenly came up with a bold idea. Did Chen Baiqiang also reincarnate? To verify the answer in my heart, I went to Chen Baiqiang's house after saying goodbye to my old classmates. The originally dilapidated house had been renovated into a Western-style 2-story villa. Just as I was standing at the door, a woman with disheveled hair and worn-out clothes pushed the door open and stepped out, her sallow face covered in bruises. She struggled to carry 2 buckets of slop, staggering with each step. Immediately after, Chen Baiqiang's mother came out, pointing at the woman and cursing loudly. "You're so slow at getting things done. What use is it for our Chen family to keep you around? Are we just letting you idle around and wait for death every day? Be careful. Or I'll have Baiqiang kick you out of the house." I was somewhat surprised. The woman before me turned out to be Shen Li. It turns out they weren't targeting me specifically. Whoever married Chen Baiqiang would become their slave. Even Shen Li, who was deeply in love with Chen Baiqiang in her previous life, couldn't escape this fate. Perhaps sensing my gaze, Shen Li suddenly looked up at me. Xia Peilan, her voice was not soft, and Chen Baiqiang, who was at home, also heard it. The next moment, Chen Baiqiang came out and invited me in for a cup of coffee. I didn't refuse. The bandages on Chen Baiqiang's face had long been removed, leaving only a large, terrifying scar that coiled across his face like centipedes. Coupled with his sharp gaze, he exuded an aura of someone not to be trifled with. He placed a cup of hot coffee in front of me and spoke slowly. "Xia Peilan, you've been reborn too." I looked at him without denying it. Chen Baiqiang smiled and continued, "Don't overthink it. I don't mean anything else. You probably guessed that I've been reborn. At first, I did hate you, but later I came to understand. In my previous life, I took your study abroad opportunity and even caused your death. It's only natural that you'd want revenge. However, even if I didn't study abroad in this life, with the memories from my past life, I can still live a life of glory and success. Now that you're back, you're just a team member at the research institute. While I'm already a technical executive at a foreign company, my salary is who knows how many times higher than yours. You can't compare to me. I don't really care about these things of his." Instead, thinking of Shen Li whom I just saw, I couldn't help but ask, "Since you've also been reborn, you should remember that Shen Li was your lover in your previous life. Why are you still treating her like this?" Chen Baiqiang looked at me with eyes full of disdain. "You women only care about love and romance all day long. In my previous life, Shen Li and I were both technical professionals. That kind of person is the only one worthy of being my wife. Look at her now, with that worn-out appearance. I'd be embarrassed to take her out, perhaps feeling sorry for my past self." I couldn't help but speak up for Shen Li. "If you don't like her, you can divorce her and let her go. It's you who trapped her here and pushed her into becoming what she is now. She could have been an excellent doctor too, shining in her own field." Chen Baiqiang snorted coldly. "Why would I let a free nanny go? She takes good care of my parents at home, so I can focus on making money to support the family." "Xia Peilan, don't you dare lecture me. If you hadn't run away, it would be you staying here right now. By the way, you should thank Shen Li. She's the one suffering in your place." After saying that, he suddenly burst into laughter. "Lunatic." I muttered under my breath. Seeing that I couldn't communicate with him, I stood up to leave. As soon as I pushed the door open and stepped out, I saw Shen Li standing at the doorway. She escorted me to the main gate. "Xia Peilan, thank you. Even though I helped Chen Baiqiang harm you before, you were still willing to speak up for me." "Shen Li, loving the wrong person isn't scary. What's scary is trapping yourself. You still have a long life ahead of you, and there's still time for everything. As I finished speaking, I saw the tremor in her eyes. I've said all I can. What happens next is up to her. 3 days later, I saw Shen Li in the newspaper. Shen Li sued Chen Buqiang in court, accusing him of domestic violence and treason. It turned out that over the years, Chen Buqiang had used illegal means to enter the National Research Institute, stealing research content and selling it to foreign companies. Because of his memories from his previous life, he was particularly familiar with the Research Institute. If it weren't for Shen Li taking the initiative to report it, it's likely no one would have discovered it. With solid evidence, Chen Buqiang was sentenced on the spot. Upon learning the tragic news, Chen Buqiang's mother couldn't accept it and hanged herself. His father turned to heavy drinking afterward and, in a drunken state, fell into a river and drowned. 5 years later, the research institute I work for has once again developed a patented medicine with exclusive rights in our country. This medication does not rely on foreign technology, significantly reducing costs, making it affordable and accessible for ordinary families to treat illnesses. I came to my parents' graves and placed a bouquet of chrysanthemums. Mom and Dad, if you are still here, you would surely be proud of me.